Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street Tarot and Seasons and Ritual, and I'm here to talk about this beautiful eclipse, solar eclipse that's happening tomorrow in Aries. So people have been talking about this for months and weeks, and as you know, I try to wait closer to the event. Um, is it good for my algorithm? Hell no, it is not, folks, but I do believe it's really important for us to stay present. So while we have been feeling the energies of this solar eclipse and new moon in Aries, and it's a super moon as well. So let's not forget that. It is to me important to stay present. You know, we had to get into Aries season. We had to have the full moon in Libra, and then we had to get into talk about Mercury retrograde. And now we're going to talk about this total solar eclipse that's happening. So if you're new to my channel, just know that I try to keep things as close to the time around them because I do think that's when the most energy comes in to talk about them. And if you are old to my channel, you may or may not remember that. So a little Mercury retrograde to go over things, right? So that Mercury retrograde, go over how we explain things to ourselves and others, I guess. So let's talk about this total solar eclipse. So the big themes that are happening, of course, is that this eclipse is the sun will be right next to Chiron. And Chiron is a constellation in the sky. He is a centaur. He is known now as the great healer. I don't know many astrologers who don't refer to him as that, but for thousands of years, he was just known as the wounded healer. And so he used to represent um, a wound that we had within ourselves that never seemed to be, that would never be healed, right? And now, as new energy comes on the planet, this divine feminine energy comes on the planet, you know, myths have to change to go with the times. And so now people are seeing him as the great healer, because the reality of it is that he never went away. Like his healing powers have always been there, you know, like he is a wealth of information. And yet, for years, the patriarchy was just like, well, he died. Um, Zeus put him in the sky because he felt so sorry for him, right? So the story of Chiron, and to keep it as brief as possible, was that Kronos disguised himself as a centaur, of course, to rape a nymph, because that's what the old stories are about. And then when she had Chiron, when the nymph had Chiron, she abandoned him because she didn't like that she gave birth to a centaur. So he was then adopted by Apollo and Artemis, who are the sun and the moon. And they taught him all about healing herbs, you know, healing roots, all the ways to heal things. And he was a very kind and gentle centaur, and he was a great healer. So, as the story goes, Hercules had to go on all these feats. He had to, uh, you know, Hercules had to go on all these feats, and so they had these. So Chiron had these arrows dipped in the poisonous blood of the Hydra, or he had to kill the Hydra. Either way, I can't remember right now. But anyway, he had to. There was an arrow dipped in poison. So they came over for a feast. Somebody wanted wine. Chiron didn't really want to give him the wine, but he did anyway because he wanted to be a good host. Well, everyone got hammered just from the fumes. So they all started going bananas, and Chiron was shot in the ass by the poison arrow. And 9 days later, he died. Um, and Achilles was there with him because Achilles was his star student. And so the patriarchy has painted this as, and the tales of irony is that even though Chiron knew how to heal everything, he couldn't heal himself and he died, right? So that was the patriarchal story, which, you know, is good if you want to keep people depressed and down. But the reality of it is, we aren't supposed to live forever. The reality of it is that we should have boundaries. If people are in our home and we don't want to feed them wine, we shouldn't feel like we have to be a good host. So, and also I think it's really interesting that in the myth they put that he died in 9 days, and the number nine is the number of completion in the tarot. So, and then, because we're not immortal. He was actually immortal, but I think he gave away his immortality to the one that gave us fire, because he felt bad that he kept getting his liver pecked out. I'm not 100%, but something like that. So, but as humans, we aren't immortal. We do die, and the reality of it is poison is poison is poison, right? Like, we have to understand there's checks and balances. We have to understand that we can be great healers. We have to understand that we should have boundaries. And we have to understand that this is our life cycle. Things do come to an end, right? So, and I was going to say, and the fact that Zeus put him as a constellation, they read it as for him to limp around the universe as a sad sack, when in theory he was going through, and you can contact, Chiron. What can I do to heal this? All his information is still there. He was the great healer. So, um, and it's beautiful, the fact that his star student was there with him, right? Like, and he was revered. So this is the story of Chiron. So we've changed the myth into thinking that we can never heal our wounds, into the idea that we can heal our wounds, right? We can have boundaries. Okay, and it's totally okay to have boundaries. We do have a time limit on ourselves as humans, right? So maybe we could be the best humans we could be. The idea that just because your family of origin, quote unquote, abandoned you, doesn't mean that the family that you grow up with, that picks you up, that loves and nurtures you, is bad. This is then your family of origin. And I really want to point out the fact that he was raised by the sun and the moon. And to me, again, that's going back to these natural cycles. That's going back to Gaia. That's going back to the idea that we all come from one source. Sun and the moon are there in outer space. We're all made of stars, right? So with this eclipse, the moon will interrupt the sun, right? Hey, 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 girl, hey. And so if you look at it in paper, the sun is like, let's just say 19 degrees. Chiron is at 19 and a half or so, or like 18, 19, and the moon is right on the other side. So you have Chiron sandwiched between the sun and the moon. And to me, this is a great healing to heal family wounding, to heal ancestral wounds, to do a great reset, to get us on to get rid of that carbon-based grid, to get into this crystalline grid. The moon and the sun, we have totality for 4.5 minutes, and if you can't watch it, if you don't see it, then watch it. NASA's gonna, they usually do a live cast. So even if you're kind of experiencing or not experiencing it, go back and watch it. Sit and watch those 4 minutes of totality. You're going to get the energy that we're supposed to get. Okay. Like, it's always there, and you can keep going back and rewatching it over and over and over again. But this is a great healing. This is the idea that, you know, we don't have to carry around ancestral runes. We can reset this DNA. We can reset the idea that of abandonment. We can reset the idea that we can love thy neighbor, right? Like, my family didn't show me this, but I really love my brothers and sisters that I now have community with. I do think the idea of community is going to start coming back online pretty quickly here. And community that understands and appreciates boundaries and gives people space and allows people to heal and allows others to heal themselves. I've been so impressed when I talk to people that I've seen from my past, and they're just like, shit, yeah, I had to heal a bunch of stuff. It's so beautiful, right? So we are healing, we are evolving. we are learning to love again, right? Like this old idea of um, this happened, and so this that set the tone for the rest of our lives. This eclipse is going to reset that. It's going to reset, a lot of unconscious programming, right? Programming, because we were talking about this in one of my groups yesterday. There's so much that we absorb as children that we're just not aware of, right? And so instead of constantly trying to figure that out as adults, I do think that this is, and a lot of us have done the work and have figured out a lot as adults, but I do believe like this eclipse is going to keep clearing out all the rest of the stuff that either it's not showing up to us consciously, or we're just ready to move on, as a society, as a group of people, um, as light workers and healers on this earth at this time. There's so much energy coming onto the planet. And at the same time, you wouldn't know that if you watch the news. At the same time, though, a lot of times we feel irritated when these big things start happening. And check in with yourself. If you're feeling irritated, go back to your breathing, deep breath in, deep breath out, feel into your heart, maybe give it a little rub, a little massage, and just know that you don't have to work on this. You can just receive and allow. That's that divine feminine energy. Just receive. It is a super moon, right? Even though it's a total solar eclipse, it is a super moon. That moon is our feminine, that moon is our intuition, but that moon is all about receiving. So we can just receive this new way of being, this new way of moving forward. The way we move forward is the sun. And so this reset is just that, a reset. So we don't have to figure it out, right? We don't have to figure it out. We can just tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to receive these new DNA codes, these new light codes, right? This crystalline grid, and then receive that and just receive it. And then and set the intention. I allow this to come out naturally, the way I'm supposed to move forward as my most authentic self, right? The sun and the moon gave Chiron all the love he needed, and he was able to show up as his most authentic self. He was a healer, he was kind, he was gentle. Um, Needed to learn a little bit more about boundaries, but that's what we're here to do. That's part of the teaching, right? If he didn't do this, then if he didn't go through what he went through, then we wouldn't be able here to have this beautiful story. So allow this to happen. If you want to journal, if you want to, like the old way of thinking is don't do anything on an eclipse, do whatever the fuck you want on the eclipse. You know what I mean? Like we're breaking down all these old things. The patriarchy told us not to do a lot of things because that kept them in power. So I've always lived my life to be like, maybe do the opposite of that if I want a different outcome. Okay. And you're listening to someone on fucking YouTube. So if you do something and it blows up, it's on you, fam. Okay, don't come at me. Don't come at me. Still use common sense. Let's say that. Use common sense. So yes, I will be sitting in ritual tomorrow. I will be probably journaling. Again, you guys check in with your breath, do this meditation. We're going into the void. That's a huge reset. That's all the light coming together, right? It gets absorbed. They talk about black holes, dark matter, that's where everything gets created. So we're having 4.5 minutes of that. And again, even if you're not seeing it, watch it through the computer on your TV, that'll do it. But no, um, you can just set that intention. Okay, I'm ready to start showing up as my authentic self. I'm ready to have new thoughts. I'm ready to have these new ideas. I'm ready to have this new confidence, right? Aries is confidence. Aries is I am. And the other thing that this is happening in the sign of Aries, who knows who he is, who knows how to show up, right? Who went through the change to become a divine masculine energy, right? To become a spiritual warrior. Who loves to fight beside women. This is going to be a huge month for women. Venus just moved into Aries, they're ready. So again, it's that masculine and feminine within us, no matter how we present, they're getting reset. Those wounds that we have about those ideas of masculine, feminine are getting reset. So just allow it to happen, you guys. This is a huge month, okay? We're going to be feeling the effects of this eclipse for at least the next 6 months. And then, later in the month, we have in Jupiter and Uranus are already conjunct, are in the orb of conjunction, right? In Taurus, right? Who's ruled by Venus. They will be exact on the 20th. So let all this energy just start working. Let it do what it needs to do. Like we always say, surrender, hands off. You guys just show up, drink some water, do some stretching, check in with your thoughts. Mercury's retrograde. It's time to start new thoughts. It's time to realize where our thoughts are just sandbagging us, as my friend Patrick would say, and where we can move on from that. Just be like, God, I don't want to think those thoughts anymore. Okay, noted. So let's bump it up a notch, The idea of like working really hard isn't here anymore because Pluto has moved out of Capricorn. Saturn, Capricorn's ruler, is in Pisces. Pisces at its highest self is the mystic. So we want to let things go. Pisces is all about letting things go, letting things turn over, letting new energy in. So it's a big time. It's a beautiful time. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, tell yourself, I don't have to work on this. I just have to allow myself. I just have to allow myself to allow myself to introduce myself, allow myself to let go and to receive, allow myself to upgrade and receive, allow myself to pay attention to my thoughts and receive. Okay, you guys, like it is a new moon. I mean, it is a dark moon. The dark moon to me is always about rest. So rest. When we start to see that sliver, that's the new moon. That's when we can start activating. The masculine and feminine are still very close, so rest with this in the sense that you allow. Do some meditation, do some journaling, all those things that you want to do. Do rituals, like I said, do magic. It's okay. It's wild magic, so it's going to do what it needs to do. It's the beautiful thing about wild magic and the beautiful thing about the cosmos and the universe. It knows what to do to reset itself, to become back into balance. So allow this to be a reset, to come back into balance. Allow those wounds to go so you can come back into balance with your masculine and feminine. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that. If you guys want to reach out to me or want to tarot sesh, you guys want to pull one card? Let's do that real fast. You can get in touch with me through my Instagram, which is Independent Street Tarot or Seasons and Ritual, or you guys can just reach out to me right here on YouTube. Yep, can't make this shit up. Coming back into balance, Six of Pentacles. It's beautiful. This is all the card. It's the charity card. It's all about giving and receiving. You can't give unless you can receive, and you can't receive unless you can give. So let's just ask ourselves, what is the easiest, quickest, most gentle, loving way to get myself back into balance so I can start giving and receiving? And you want to start receiving love from the universe. You don't have to work on it. You want to start noticing where you are getting love. Maybe you've kind of like shut yourself off to it. Maybe you have a really great partner or a really great animal, or a really great support system that you're like, holy shit, these people fucking love me. Damn. Thank you. And of course, I always say, make sure you tell yourself every morning you love yourself. Yep, look. The Knight of Cups, right? Knights to me are always loyal. They don't ever stop. They're always loyal to the cause. And on the bottom is the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is all about love and romance. So always tell yourself you love yourself and allow yourself to fall back in love with yourself. It's never too old. Like people always like, what about love? And I'm like, well, are you loving yourself? And they're usually like, I don't think so. So you can always fall back in love. That's going to bring us back into balance. The sun and the moon, that's our masculine and feminine, and they're going to be together, right? So allow yourself to be together. Venus has moved into Aries. They're ready to quote unquote fight. Let them fight for you. You just have to show up. Okay? Be your most authentic self. All right, friends. Happy eclipse. Good times. I got my goggles, so I'll probably post some photos on the old Instagram with us looking cool and not burning our retinas out. Okay, till next time.